Here we've got the all-new Kia EV9, and it has a level of thought and care that I just did not know that Kia was capable of, and this thing is absolutely fantastic. I love the direction they're going in. Overall, I think this car looks great. They've managed to make it like an electric vehicle, but at the same time, it doesn't look too stupid and bubbly. It's also really impressive how they've been able to make it both boxy and aerodynamic. This has a drag coefficient of 0.28, which means it cuts through the air really well, and it's also nice and quiet in the cabin. Although that said, you have to remember that the force of drag is the frontal area times the coefficient of drag, so it still is not going to be the most efficient ever. In this awesome blue color, I was expecting this thing to be getting plenty of attention, especially since these have just arrived here in Canada, but only one person did a double take, and Buddy was getting out of his EV6, so you can be pretty down low in this thing. That said though, let's look at the front. In here we have a little bit of room, about enough for a purse, maybe some personal items, but not quite enough for a full-on backpack, but I do appreciate that they have at least something up here. Below the hood, we have what Kia calls their dynamic welcome lights, which look really sweet and are incredibly annoying because this right here, we have what's called their focus pattern. As you can see, there's a bunch that aren't even lit up in here. And to change that, you have to give them $250 as a microtransaction. So if I see anything other than the default patterns right here, you are a chump. You're an idiot. Moving to the side, we have these really cool aero rims right here, which I think stand out quite a bit compared to the stupid diamond cut rims that you find on everything else. And also these tires do have foam insulation in them to help with NVH, which really aids just how quiet this thing is in the cabin. Also, it's really freaking long. This thing's over 5 meters long, so check if it will fit in your garage. You might have to move some shelves. This being an EV, they had to do something funky with the door handles, and these ones right here that just pop out actually work really quite well. Around the back, I continue to like the styling, like these lights right here, and we also have a great big power liftgate that opens to reveal a trunk that's really not all that big. In here we have enough room for about 2 backpacks and an Alex, but that can be improved. Fortunately, if you only want to transport 4 people, you can put the rear seats down and gain that space back. And if you only want to transport 2 people, the front ones can go down too, giving you just this massive flat space right here where you might not be able to put a piece of plywood, but you can put quite a bit of stuff. As a bonus, back here we get a full 120 volts, 15 amps, and there's a second one up there for a total of 3,600 watts if you want to put a whole gaming rig in here, or several. Around the side we have our charging port, and now I wasn't able to actually find the exact specs on this right here. Either way, you're able to go 10 to 80% in just 24 minutes, which is really impressive for something with nearly 100 kilowatt hours of battery. This being a 3-row SUV, I'm guessing the rear seats are essentially useless, but let's give it a little look here. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Oh, okay. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed. I have decent headroom, the seat goes forward and backwards, I have charging back here, and with these captain seats all the way forward, I actually have pretty decent legroom. Like, my knee is touching, but I'm 6 foot and I was expecting to just be not able to sit back here at all. With this chair all the way forward, can I sit in it still? Damn, not bad. Aside from hitting my head on the camera, I'm actually pretty comfy. It's tight, it's definitely tight, but you can fit 6 actual full-grown adults in here. I'm kind of shocked. If you don't have people in the back though, these seats are awesome. They are heated, they are cooled, they are full motion, back, forward, up and down. These are better than the majority of seats I've sat in the front of cars, let alone the middle. It also has a little footrest, which is way too small for me. Here we've got a sunshade that blocks the sun and the haters. And up here we have a control panel, which is pretty average. But what's really interesting is they actually have 2 completely separate HVAC systems for the front and the back. So if you're doing stuff up there, like you don't have anyone in the back, it can fully turn this one off for better efficiency. Finally, we've got a nice little bit of storage right here where I was able to put all of my turnips and potatoes when I forgot a bag at the farmer's market. Hopping into the front seats, these are some of the best seats I have ever sat in, and with a single button press, I can go into lounge mode. Oh yes. I don't entirely understand why you want lounge mode, but it is pretty neat when you do it the first couple of times. That said though, aside from the gimmicks, these are the best seats that I have ever sat in. We have this little mesh thingy on the back of the headrest that feels a lot like those fancy Mercedes pillows, and just so much adjustment. We've got bolsters, we've got your arse, and even massage seats up here. It is like nothing I have felt in a Kia by a mile. In here overall, the quality of the materials is exceptional. We don't have piano black crap everywhere. There is some kind of glossy plastic here that's scratching a bit easily, but everything else is great. We've got these nice fabrics, we've got the fake leathers, we've got plastics that are textured in such a way that I think they're going to wear really well compared to what we've been seeing in the past. And we also have proper climate controls. We have temperature here, fan rate there, and none of that junk climate and media in the same spot stuff that Kia's been doing for the last little while. This is so much better, with my only small gripe being that you completely block all of the HVAC information with the wheel and your hand. It took me a really long time to figure out that it's all right here. The infotainment is pretty standard Kia Hyundai stuff, and it's overall just excellent. They have some of the best and easiest to use stuff in the game. And of course, you're just going to be plugging in Apple CarPlay or Android Auto anyway. Storage in here is also great. We have a normal glove box, which somehow is a selling point in EVs right now. A tiny little compartment that's about big enough for sunglasses here, and a nice little area here that's large enough for a DJI transmission kit or your purse. Now, turning on the EV9 is a little bit strange. We've got a power button on a stalk for some reason, and you just give it a little twist here and it allows us to drive straight into this segue to our sponsor. Thanks to CARLUEX for sponsoring today's video. Well, the EV9 finally has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Some other cars such as Kias and Hyundais in the recent past do not. With the CARLUEX Pro Plus, you can say goodbye to the tethered life. This wireless adapter runs on Android 13, touts an 8-core Qualcomm Snapdragon chip, making it one of the fastest and most stable boxes on the market. And with SIM card compatibility, a bunch of pre-installed and downloadable apps such as YouTube and Netflix, it can be fully functional even without a phone connected. So say goodbye to intrusive cables and check out the CARLUEX Pro Plus at the link down below. Before we set off, I want to quickly shout out the 360 camera on this, which is just exceptional. It is an optional upgrade, but I would recommend it. Like, there was a Model Y that could not get into a super small parking space, but using this thing right here, I was able to. Now, even though this thing's 5,800 pounds, we have 380 horsepower, 516 foot-pounds of torque, which is pretty quick. This thing does a 0 to 100 in 5.3 seconds. And if you want to get the all-wheel drive version, that does go up to 6, but that still is quite rapid. That said though, the 200 horsepower rear-wheel drive version takes over 9, so maybe splurge for the all-wheel drive or the GT where you can do this. It's pretty fun given how freaking huge it is. The biggest difference though with this compared to every other Kia that I've been in is that the suspension is set up exceptionally. This thing is very, very heavy, and you can tell, but at the same time, we're going over a really bumpy road. Right now, it's nice and quiet in here. There's 0 rattles, and it's just really nice and comfy. It's so nice that Kia was able to take what this car is intended to do, which is just ferrying around children, being comfy, and really, really nail that in a way that I feel like they have not in the past. We don't have any fancy air suspension, adaptive dampers, none of that. It is just very simply well-tuned, well thought out, and good job, guys. By hitting the paddles on the back of the steering wheel, you can change how much regenerative braking you get, although I would suggest sticking to level 3 because that's where you get the most, and I just really like regen braking. Or go all the way to iPedal, which gets you full regen braking, and you can do full one pedal driving with this, where without touching the brake, you can come to a full stop. One thing to note though is that when you enable iPedal, it disables the disconnect actuator system. That's a disconnect on the front axle that separates the wheels from the electric motor. Doing that gains you 6 to 8% efficiency, so you will have longer range if you're not in the iPedal. But that said, I found the range to be pretty good in this, and I've just used iPedal the whole time. I like it. All right, we've got some corners here. We can just dip her in, give it a little bit of gas, and it feels really, really good. It's obviously not a sports car. We have 5,800 pounds of mass, and Kia are not magicians, so you can definitely feel it. And if you're going around corners that are bumpy at higher speeds, it can get a little bit confuzzled. But that said, the steering is really accurate, really responsive, and like, you're able to take corners at speeds that you do not expect for this thing to be able to do. Again, great job, Kia, on the suspension tuning of this thing. In here we have the 14-speaker surround sound system from Meridian, and it is fantastic. It plays all the way down to 30 hertz, so not quite the bassiest bass, but it is clean down to 30 hertz. It also has excellent, not staging, but surround soundedness. It's a large car, so they're able to just really bring it out and immerse you in the sound. My only complaint is that the staging isn't perfect. I do find that the center channel just kind of collapses to the mid that's right here, which is a little bit unfortunate. I do really wish that the center channel had collapsed to the center, but that said, it's pretty darn good. By the way, we just released these hats on lttstore.com. This one's a prototype that I've been wearing for a year, working great. Another area that's excellent are the assists. This has adaptive cruise, which goes down to 0 kilometers an hour, and it's just overall really smooth, really confidence inspiring. I quite like it. It also has auto lane centering and lane keep assist, both of which work quite well, although that said, I think that I work better. So for the most part, I turned it off, but maybe you'll like it. Also great is the range. The GT line that we have right here is good for 505 kilometers if you're not into the gas too much, or if that's not enough for you, the rear wheel drive can go for 563 kilometers if you don't care about getting chopped by Priuses. And finally, the price. Now in Canada, we get quite a good deal on these. This one right here that we're in, the absolute top trim, is $81,000 Canadian, but if you're in the States, this same top trim is $76,000, which is a lot more expensive. So overall, the Kia EV9, it's frickin' fantastic. I cannot believe how much Kia has improved on their formula of like the EV6, which was just didn't really do it for me, and now we've arrived here to something that I hope all of the design decisions get carried over into their other cars. The climate control and stuff, just so much better. The ride quality is exceptional, and it's just so comfy, so quiet, so easy to use. If you're looking for something to just be a very simple electric car for your everyday life, it's great. I really like it. Just like I really like you for watching this video. Hit like, get subscribed, and just have a fantastic day. See you later.